I think that some of what he said is true, but I don't think that's always the case. I think to be real, like some people like toxic behavior. It kind of, get them excited, get them aroused. So I mean, sometimes people no, I'm just saying that I feel like sometimes people have their own reasons to why they have toxic behavior. I don't think it always has to be like something like obviously it's not okay to like do something like, completely out of pocket, but sometimes people don't want boring. People don't want perfection. I feel like we are inherently into things that are bad for us sometimes. Like we focus on the negative more than we focus on the positive all the time. We like the drama. We like it's the reason why Real Housewives is Atlanta is still on, and what intervention or hoarding isn't still on, where they go around and help people or feed the children or whatever. We like drama. We like toxic behavior, and I feel like until people start getting real with themselves about what they actually like and find someone that could, be on the same type of time with them. I mean, I don't know. We
That's
watch
why
baby.
being intentional when you're dating is so important. Like that's so important when you're dating, is being intentional
Yeah.
and seeing like what somebody wants and doesn't want. What Trev wants might be different from what I want. You know what I mean? And it's like you have to speak through it. That's why dating is so fucking important. So you can actually get to know that person and be like, you into toxic shit? Great. We can be a couple. Or what you trying to do? You trying to be cool, calm, and collect? Cool, let's do that too. But I feel like a lot of people are not intentional when they're dating and they don't talk through it. And it's just so everything's so fast paced now. It's like, what's up? You like me? Cool, great. Da, 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 da. And that's it. It's not like, who are you? Like, what do you want from me? Like, what do you want out of relationship? So I feel like intentionally dating should be a thing this year.
I
And then,
think.
and
Go
then too,
ahead, Andre.
and then too, sometimes toxic behavior can be addictive. Like emotional, like I'm not, let's be honest, like it can be addictive. There's dopamines that's going off every time you're having this passionate argument with your partner and then having passionate love making afterwards. It's the dopamines are shooting, it's one extreme to another extreme, and it can be addictive. That's why it's so difficult to get out of toxic situations, because it's like you guys both know that it's not necessarily the best behavioral styles, but I mean, it works for you.
I think the problem with that, Andrea, though, is that I don't think the problem is that people can't find, especially toxic people, can't find someone that aligns with them on a same toxic level. I think the problem is that a lot of people, specifically women, want it all, and what they don't realize is that the guys that exhibit that toxic behavior lack in other areas that they find undesirable. So what they would do is they would go after guys that do have those, and then they would create a toxic situation out of that. So for instance, they will. That's pretty much it. I think with the desire to want it all is where the problem lies. I want a toxic situation, but I also want him to be um smart and understanding and things like that. Well, that doesn't happen with a toxic person. A toxic person isn't understanding. A toxic person isn't emotionally intelligent, so to speak. But you love a toxic situation.
I
And I
don't think
think
together true. I don't think that's altogether true. You can be completely aware that you could have emotional intelligence and be completely aware that you're tripping and you just decide to do it because you want to do it. I don't think it has anything to, I mean, I get it, but I feel like it just is what it is. Like if I decide to be toxic in a relationship and you feel like you're not, a guy into toxic behavior, then why are you still talking to me? It's so much easier to just
That part.
but I think that's what happens a lot of the time. That's why a lot of relationships do actually end.
you
Is
like
because of that very reason. Is because
you like
someone in that situation is toxic, the other person doesn't like it, and they walk away.
they don't walk away, they stay. That's why you have so many toxic relationships because
Well,
they
most people are single, so I don't see people staying.
yeah,
Most people are single.
they try to go and find someone else because they think there's so much better out there, and then they come right back to you and they're calling your phone trying to figure out where you're at and what you're doing because you're not tripping on them. They like that behavior, so just stand in it.
Hmm.
I think you're speaking anecdotally here, but okay,
Let
I'll
me go.
leave
Let
that.
me go to get Marcus. Now, go ahead, Marcus.
Shout out to Nip. That's all I was thinking about when they was talking. He said, "Don't be surprised if you don't get what you never wanted." And I could tell you if somebody's going to achieve their goal or whatever it is they want if they tell me they why. So like for me, for example, I dealt with abandonment because of my childhood. I knew I wanted to raise my kids and be there no matter what. I wasn't going to be they weren't going to be raised in a broken home. So because that was the root of how I was moving forward with structuring a relationship, I'm trying to make sure I don't create a situation where I could potentially end up in divorce. So knowing that I'm going to structure the relationship from the very beginning, that these are the parameters in which we're going to operate. We're not going to be arguing. We're not going to be fighting. We're not going to say anything harmful to each other. If we need to take a moment, I'm setting real clear instruction on how we engage in conversation and how we communicate. And by doing that, it creates the better that I believe that I could have, because my why was that I want to make sure that my relationship didn't end in a divorce and I didn't lose my kids. That was extremely important to me. It's very true. When you believe you can do something, then you can actually set steps in place. The problem is most people don't have steps. Most people wish for something, don't have any tangible metrics, don't have any guidelines that they operating under, and then they just hoping, moving forward and wandering directions. So when people talk about they want leadership and they want all of these things, unless you willing to set up a structural program for how you want your life to go, you won't get no better. If you willing to accept a whole lot of, you know what I'm saying, bullshit within the relationship, it won't be no better, because you don't see yourself having, I know Aundrea said perfect is boring. Boring to me sound like my kids have an excellent life and I don't have no stress or die early from John Henryism or anxiety or have a heart attack. So it's really about what you want. And I believe you 100% right. Some people do want toxic. I think it's a lot of people that's in denial about it.
I don't think it's okay to like be toxic while you have children. Like, I'm not saying put the children in harm's way, and I'm also not saying that there's like there's levels to toxic. So I'm not saying that we should be like beating each other up in front of the children, but I mean, sometimes you gotta have a little, spiciness in the relationship. I just think that you guys are just like really just reading this whole situation wrong. I think I need to just understand that life happens, and I'm not saying that you guys need to be killing each other. I'm just saying sometimes you like a little bit of toxic, and sometimes it can be okay.
I wouldn't say I like toxic. I just like a little bit of spice. Like, I don't want you to be out here cheating. I don't want you to be out here doing it crazy, because then I'm going to turn into a killer. So it's like, I just want you to just be a little, fun, a little edgy, but just, not crazy. Because I did have a really nice guy, like really nice guy. Everybody said he's a really nice guy. And I left him just because it was, like you said, boring. Like, it was like, it's just so nice. And everybody wants that until they get it. And then it's just like, oh my God, like, you're such a prude.
You can't expect me to take you seriously.
Everybody want toxic until they get it.
I do not.
Everybody say, I want a little bit of toxic. There ain't no such thing as that. A lot of people are all the way.
It's not. I think you could be, okay, one extreme is like breaking somebody's car window or chasing them down the street in your car and running to the back of their vehicle at a red light. That's one but there's
Jasmine, let me ask you a question. So the nice guy, you didn't like him. The toxic guy, how long did that one last?
Listen, probably like
exactly. Thank you.
Like this though, it's like I want somebody to still, put me in my place at times and stuff like that, because I know sometimes I can get a little spicy. So Mr. Nice Guy, he's just a yes man. He always just yes, whatever you say. Like, you letting me run over you pretty much, and I don't like that. I want you to be like, sit down. Like, no, this is what we eating today. Like, stop. No, we're not doing that. Like, because I got ADHD, so I'll be all over the place sometimes. So it's like, you gotta sit me down sometimes. And
I don't want Steve Urkel.
That's not
you don't want like up in your ass all day.
What you trying to get, you can get that out through sex with BDSM or something like that. You don't have to have that operating within a relationship. You can get completely dominated in all those feelings you're talking about via sex. It does not have to occur in the actual relationship.
It didn't
No,
happen
but
there.
how do I know if I didn't make you mad? How do I know you can't fake being mad? So how are we gonna have a sexual experience where you're supposed to be mad at me when I don't believe you because I know you're not really mad?
Right.
That's what the begging and stuff is for.
No, I'm not gonna beg. It's gonna make you mad.
No, that's
Everybody wants toxic and crazy until they get it. And
And
then
they
all of a sudden, when they crying on their friend's shoulder, talking about he's a narcissist.
well, girls can be
But let me ask you this: Is toxic the frame that we're really getting at? Is that what you really want? Is it toxicity? Because Jasmine, it didn't sound like you were saying what you were describing was toxic per se, right? You're screaming toxic right now, but it didn't sound like that. You sounded like you were looking for a dude that's going to stand on his square, right? And be you know what I mean, and be about his business and not be run over. That's different. That's just a man that's able to hold his masculine frame. It doesn't sound toxic at all. You just don't want to push over. And women do this, and they call this your general shit test, right? And they basically want to make sure that if you let them run over you, then they won't feel like you can protect them, right? So because they'll understand that you are soft, and when it comes to something real, you can't protect them. Just like if you watch like animals and stuff, how sometimes the men have to display their masculinity and show them. So even the animals are doing it. That's their shit test. They want to make sure that you are able to protect. And being that they can't really spar with you, right? We could slap box probably, but you know, that's not that practical. So you'll just give me goofy shit tests like that to see how much you're going to get over. But then once you realize that I'm standing on my square and it ain't happening, then you're like, oh, okay. That's all it is. You just want somebody who's going to check you when you're supposed to. So that's understandable. But don't describe it as toxic because it doesn't sound like you were describing toxic. Aundrea, I don't know. You might want a little bit of toxic. I think that's different because you want a little bit more. And I understand that too. What we're saying, right? I don't think that this man doesn't exist, but it's far and rare that you're going to find it. I know what she's talking about because I've seen it work before, right? So it's not like impossible. It's just not. So we're going by probable and then possible, right? And that's the only difference. Like men, we normally dwell within the realms of probability, where women generally are looking at what's possible. So they'll say, I really want this guy because it's possible. My homegirl got one. But there's really not that many of those guys out there. You know what I mean? So not to say you won't find them, but you're going to have to really be intentional about sourcing this man.